Today, we're going to cover my top tips to stand out and impress your manager when you're working on a project. And sometimes we feel really intimidated that we don't have as much experience as some of those senior individuals on our project, but there's always some role that you can play and always some way that you can add value. And today, I'm going to share some ways that I try to do that. Hi, by the way, my name is Kajol, and if you're new here, please don't forget to hit the like button. And just to help the consulting community we have here on YouTube, do leave any tips that you have that you can share with everyone else here on YouTube. The first thing that you can do when you're starting on a project is read up on the statement of work, the client, and the industry. Now, by reading up on the statement of work allows you to identify what deliverables that you need to create, and hence you can plug any gaps in your skills that you need to have to be able to create those deliverables. Also, it goes much more into the problem statement. So you can tailor all your reading on the client and the industry much more specifically around solving that problem statement and allows you to not waste your time. The second thing that you can do is under promise and over deliver. And I know it's a little bit cheeky, but sometimes you just got to play the game and play it smart. Now, when you're delivering something, when you're actually building slides, let's say, or creating a model, you need to make sure that you do it at high quality because that's kind of expected, but even better if you do it earlier than expected. You know how many slides or how many deliverables you can churn out in a particular time frame. Let's say you can do 10 slides in an hour, commit to doing 7. That means that when you do give out 10 instead of 7, they will be automatically impressed. And you know what? I would also say try and build a bank of templates that you can just use. And that means that you can churn out slides left, right, center and do it much more quicker than anticipated. When you're working on a project, you want to try and preempt what's next in the project, what's the next thing that I'm going to be asked to do, and already get it done. Now, let's say in week 2, you know interviews are coming up. What are the deliverables that you need to create for those interviews? And you can already start to do a first draft of them. And that could include an interview guide, a template where you can also capture your interviews. But I would just make sure that you confirm your priorities with your manager, because what if they're already working on it at the same time? So why don't you be a little bit proactive and be to your manager, actually, I know this is coming up and I need to create these deliverables. Do you want me to own that? Shows you're already thinking ahead and shows you're already being a little bit proactive. I mean, imagine the scenario where you have 200 pages to format in a slide deck, hopefully not, and you do all those 200 pages completely wrong. I would say you want to do one slide, send it across to your manager, see if they're happy, and then once they're happy, do the rest of the 199 pages in that format. And I know it's a little bit tedious, but imagine the time you've saved by not doing it wrong. My fourth tip is don't be afraid to speak up with your opinion. Always try and go in with something into a team meeting, into a client meeting, rather than nothing, and bring your ideas to the table. Look, I know in client meetings especially, I feel this as well. We feel really intimidated that what we're saying is not right, but there is no harm, and this is what I do. I am my manager on the side and be like, I think this X, Y, Z, is it okay for me to say that? Is this what we want the client to go towards? And once you've got the approval, feel free to say it. To really impress your team, try and bring a few ideas or options onto the table. It might be the way you're solving a problem, it might be the way you're structuring something or the way something looks, but bring a few options and allows them to actually make a choice on what's better. If you don't also know how to tackle something, try not to go into the meeting empty-handed. It's always best to give your best guess on something and actually look like you've tried. My next tip is to get as much information about the task as you can. We sometimes feel that asking someone to explain a task to us makes us look stupid. It doesn't. Actually, your manager often has this clear image, this clear vision in their mind, and sometimes they have difficulty translating it into words, and then you need to kind of take that and make it into a slide. It's a little bit like Chinese whispers. The best thing that you can do is actually ask them to draw it, and this tip has saved me hours and hours and hours of work. I actually used to do 4 to 5 iterations of the same slide, and I never got what my manager wanted, but after asking them to draw it out, I could do it within the first time and sometimes even the second time. This allows you to understand what's perfect for your manager, because each manager is going to have different expectations of what good looks like, of what the perfect line is, and you need to make sure that you go above and beyond that. And that allows you to distribute where you spend your efforts and what you spend your time working on. My next tip is that you need to understand your manager's style and actually work around their preferences. Understanding your team's needs, your client needs, and adapting to that is a really important skill to have. Maybe they prefer to review your work in the morning than the evening. Maybe they just want to review your work as you progress it rather than at the end. Maybe they just hate animations and do not want you to use them. Whatever it is, ask, get to know how they prefer to work, and work around their style. I'd know I really appreciate someone who actually asks me how I prefer to work, hint hint, future colleague. And big tip, try to schedule in any review sessions, maybe in the morning so that you've got the whole day to work on it rather than at night when you have to work on it in the evening. Trust me, been there. My next tip is that you want to make sure that you are learning throughout the whole project at every single step, and you can do that by asking questions. Be part of the conversation, ask for help, ask for questions. It shows that you are really curious to your manager. And asking for help is a sign of strength. You're learning from others, you're learning their perspectives, and you're questioning why things are and challenging assumptions. And that's exactly what a consultant gets paid to do. We are there to provide our own interpretation to our team, to our clients, and asking questions is a brilliant way to begin to do that. My next tip is that at every second, you want to make your manager's life easier, not harder. Get the little things right, proofread your work, proofread your team's work, even if they don't ask you to. Fix those silly mistakes before it goes to your manager. You want to reduce their workload, then actually add to it, and you want to help them rather than hinder them. And actually, just by doing small things like this and letting your team members know that you've done it and your manager know that you've done it will actually gain you a lot of brownie points throughout the whole project. And my last tip is that you need to know your deadlines, and there's no point doing everything we've gone through today if you don't meet your deadlines. No point trying to impress a manager when you don't meet their expectations set in their mind. So make sure that you actually come up with a mini plan by prioritizing what you need to do, when things are needed to be done for, and get it done. Make sure you do not miss those deadlines, and if you have got a few things going on, let your manager know what other things you have that you need to work towards as well, so they can understand actually, okay, maybe we need to push this deadline a little bit later so she can accommodate doing some of these other tasks that she's been set to do. And that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and I will see you next week.